Hello friends and welcome to a new installation tutorial and review. In this episode, which is not sponsored by any company, I will show you how you can replace the original head unit of a Mercedes W204 equipped with the NTG 4.0 media system with a super cheap Android head unit bought from AliExpress. After the unboxing and installation tutorial, I will tell you the positive and negative aspects of this car head unit so that you know whether it's worth the investment and avoid spending money unnecessarily because the DIY workshop saves money. Let me just show you a few key features of this product before starting the unboxing.
And then Israel was like, no deal. And then Israel started launching missiles at Iran. Come on at a restaurant, and then the waiter keeps coming. Is everything great? Oh, just wait. Let me.
Alright friends, this is the box in which the aftermarket unit from AliExpress arrived, costing only $100. Of course, I'll leave an affiliate link in the description, but unfortunately, since this isn't a sponsored review, I couldn't get a discount code like I usually do for reviewed products. Inside we have a 9-inch display which also functions as a head unit with a chip of 4GB RAM and 32GB of storage. Here are all the ports for the wiring harness. It even has a cooling fan, which is great since in summer these units can get quite hot. Still, I recommend using a sunshade to keep it functional as long as possible. In the box we don't just have one USB port, but two. I only mounted one since I don't see why I'd need the second. Here we have a wiring harness with a lot of RCA connectors. Here's where the cooling fan gets power from. And here's where the external microphone plugs in. We'll talk more about this microphone later because there are some very important things to point out. Then we have the main wiring harness with the two quad lock connectors. On the same harness, there's a white connector that goes into the CAN bus. I'll connect that now, and there are also two other connectors that go up to the head unit. Don't worry, everything is plug and play and it's impossible to get it wrong since each connector fits only in its unique port. There's also an input for a reverse camera cable, which I won't install since I have the original parking sensors and I'm very used to the car after so many years. If I change my mind, I can add it anytime. Let me show you where each connector goes in case I forget to mention it during the installation. Here is the main wiring harness. Take the black connector and plug it into the aftermarket head unit here. As I said, you don't even need a diagram or installation manual, everything is plug and play except for one small thing I'll show you on the car. Next we have the extension harness. Let me tidy up a bit so you can see everything better. I'll connect the cooling fan now. And here I'll plug in the microphone. The white connector from the main harness goes into the first top port. The connector for the first USB port is the 4-pin one and it goes into the slot next to the CAN bus. Then right beside it we have the 6-pin connector. Attention, even though you have two USB ports, only the 6-pin one supports wired Android Auto and CarPlay. Of course, this unit also offers wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, but maybe you want to charge your phone at the same time. Also, the wired connection is much faster and more stable than wireless. In the end, I only kept the 6-pin USB port since it gives me everything I need. Next is the GPS receiver for navigation apps on the aftermarket head unit. This is useful when not using Android Auto because then the navigation app actually runs on the phone and uses the phone's GPS. And that's it. The last thing left is to plug in the antenna cable here. We'll talk more about this during the actual car installation. Even though everything was plug and play, I would have preferred if the seller included an installation manual in the box. He did send me these images, which were relatively useful. Pause if you want to study them. The second one shows the reverse camera procedure, very simple. Let's move on to the installation tutorial on the W204. Insert a plastic trim tool deep between the vent console and the dashboard, then lever it out. Remove the two connectors by pressing the locking tabs. Now I'll take a T20 bit and remove the two screws holding the original head unit, plus the two that secure the original display. Inside you also need to lift these two metal clips, otherwise you won't be able to pull the media unit out. And it's out. For the quad lock connector, press down on the middle area of the lever and then lift it up. Here's a clip from another video where I managed to film the procedure with the help from another person on an NTG 4.5. You can do it by hand, but this way is easier. Take the male quad lock connector from the new harness and plug it into the original slot. Now connect the female quad lock connector and couple it with the original one. The aftermarket unit already powered on. That was just a test to make sure everything works, so I can now unplug everything to route the cables properly. Removing the original car's display is very simple. I'll remove this white connector, then the black one, and finally the silver metallic one. I'll also remove the CAN bus module to pass the cables between the two air vents. Let me jump a bit in the tutorial for some clarifications. Before inserting the original unit back, don't forget, as I forgot, to remove the Fakra radio antenna plug from the back. Like any normal person would think, I assumed this end of the antenna cable would go directly into the aftermarket unit, but guess what? It's too short. And not only that, the original Fakra connector doesn't even fit into the DIN radio port. So in the end I had to buy this, an adapter called Fakra Female to DIN with amplifier. Without it, you won't have radio. I'll leave a link in the description to such an adapter. Make sure the DIN plug has a 90-degree angle so it fits under the housing. It's extremely cheap, but of course I had to wait another 2 weeks for it to arrive from China. You can just order it right away. Then another mistake I want to talk about, I struggled to run the microphone all the way to the right A-pillar. I pulled it through the dashboard with a guide wire and then along the door seal. The problem is the microphone is very poor quality and callers can't understand me well since it's too far from the driver, so during calls I have to shout toward the A-pillar. I recommend placing the mic directly under the aftermarket screen, or since its cable is too short, buy a microphone with a longer cable and run it under the headliner toward the driver, similar to how you'd mount a dash cam. Back to where we left off, I'll now run the cable for the USB port. To do that, you'll need to remove this trim piece secured by 3 T20 screws. Now I can bring the screen and start connecting everything. Don't forget to connect the cooling fan cable. Then connect the CAN bus plug and the USB port plug. It's a good idea to secure the microphone plugs with tape. To avoid clutter, I also bundled all the RCA connectors together. Now I'll connect the GPS receiver. And now I realize the Fakra antenna plug will never reach the screen. Luckily, there's plenty of space behind the screen. I didn't connect the radio antenna until the adapter arrived. I plugged in the Fakra to DIN adapter. Then I powered the amplifier from this blue cable. The radio works even without the amplifier, but you'll get more stations this way. I'll turn on the head unit to show you what it can do, and we'll meet at the end of the video for the final conclusions. In some parts I'll mute the audio because of copyright. Module box works. Enough with the intro, let's get started. As I mentioned, the product is from the company called Auto ABC. This exact module box is designed specifically for the BMW more T20 screws holding the main navigation unit. Place a towel or a rag under the main unit to protect all the plastic trims.
Supercântec de la Eminem se cheamă Houdini, îl știți deja. O melodie pe care ai plecat în tabără sau poate ceva de pe prima ta casetă.
Turn left on Boulevard Nicolae Ticilescu. At the roundabout, take the first exit on Prolongation Bucharest.
Alright folks, let's start with the negative aspects of buying an aftermarket navigation unit. We have to be fair in this analysis since it's such a cheap head unit. As you saw, the seller forgot to include a fairly important adapter, but I managed to solve it easily. The microphone cable is too short and the mic is poor quality, so I'll either replace it or move it to another position when I have more time. The biggest drawback for me is that it doesn't retain the car's original menu, making the OEM head unit completely useless. Now, units that fully integrate OEM functions, however, usually cost at least $500. But let's be realistic and mention the advantages, which honestly aren't few, so I won't even number them. The operating system is super fast for 4GB of RAM. It integrates well with the dashboard design. I've seen larger displays, but honestly they don't fit the car's interior. Steering wheel and joystick controls work. Wireless and wired Android Auto or CarPlay. Access to any Android app, including streaming platforms like Netflix, HBO, Disney+, Prime, etc. Almost 30 different themes. Adaptive brightness so it doesn't distract while driving, and most importantly, a screen off function so I can focus when I just want to listen to a podcast or stand up. But be careful, there's a reason car manufacturers allow sound-only apps. These devices can be distracting, so use them responsibly. Final conclusion, the product is worth every cent and I'm really happy with the purchase. With all these functions, I don't even think about changing the car just for the media unit. Plus, even many modern cars don't offer such features unless you use an AI box. Tell me in the comments if you think the price is good for what it offers. By the way, I also have lots of videos about AI boxes if your car already has factory CarPlay and Android Auto. If this video was even a little helpful for your decision or the installation process, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and drop a comment. I put a lot of effort into making it. Wish you all the best. Bye bye.